All right, my friend. Well, if you're feeling a little bit confused, trust me, you are not the only one as we open up day one of our 40-day walk through Abraham's life. Got you around the table with me here. We're ready to dive in to read and react to this infamous episode at Babel. So I got my highlighters here. I got my green, yellow, reds. Grab your green, yellow, reds and let's dive in. Now, maybe confused why we're starting here at this point in the Bible story. I thought this was about Abraham, right? Well, it is. And this 40-day walk through Abraham's life of faith, we're reading, we're interacting with God, with the life of Abraham, and we're looking for any clues we can find to answer this simple question. All right, what does it take to live a life of faith and friendship with God? You see, Abraham's one of these guys that is a mixed bag in a lot of ways. His life is full of mistakes and missteps and stutters and meanderings, and yet he's someone that God says is his friend. God calls Abraham his friend, and we have got to get to the bottom of what that means, how that's even possible, and maybe how it's possible for the likes of you and me. So that brings us here to day one in our adventure, brings us back to today where we're standing in the ruins of an unfinished city and a tower. The place is called Babel. Now, why in the world are we here, right? If you're confused, well, the short version of it is that because this episode sets up a couple of major themes in the life of Abraham's and his story, and so we don't want to miss them here. It also gives us some incredible insights into what God is like and what God cares about. So with that, once again, grabbing the highlighters, we're going to read and then react to this together. So I've got my daily reading guide. I've got it open here on day one. I've got the digital version up for me, but you may have printed yours. And if you have, that's great. We're looking at Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. And I've got it right here. This is just it's an exact quote from the Bible. Just put it here in the reading guide so it's easy to see and focus on and interact with. So let's read it, all right? And then we're going to react to it together. I'll show you my highlights and you can drop yours. So here we go. It says, "At one time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and used the same words. As the people migrated to the east, they found a plain in the land of Babylonia and settled there. They began saying to each other, 'Let's make bricks and harden them with fire.' In this region, bricks were used instead of stone, and tar was used for mortar. And they said, 'Come, let's build a great city for ourselves with a tower that reaches into the sky. This will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world.' But the Lord came down, took a look at the city and the tower the people were building. 'Look,' he said, 'the people are united, and they all speak the same language. After this, nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. So come, let's go down and confuse the people with different languages. Then they won't be able to understand each other.' In that way, the Lord scattered them all over the world. They stopped building the city. And that is why the city was called Babel, because that is where the Lord confused the people with different languages. In this way, he scattered them all over the world." And that's Genesis 11, 1 through 9. Well, okay. So we are just moments into the story of Abraham's life. We're in the backstory part of the story, and already we're running into something that, man, it feels too hot to touch. And look, when we're reading the Bible, this is what we want to do. We want to read, but then we want to react. All right, we bring ourselves into the conversation. We bring ourselves to the table, and we let ourselves honestly and unfilteredly react. Unfilteredly, is that even a word? React to what we're seeing, okay? So I'm going to show you my initial reactions. I'm curious what yours might be. There's a spot here in the reading guide where you can drop yours, and then drop them also, share them in our private Facebook group so we can all interact on them together. Let me show you mine, and I'm going to start. We got our green, yellow, red, right? If you need a review on that, then go up into the reading guide and the kind of the intro there, and you'll see it. Today, I got to start with the red because this, again, is a story that's got, there's a lot here. It's kind of some hot takes. It makes me a little uncomfortable. I'm going to be honest with you. But that's okay. Where the blister is forming as I read is where I need to look. It's a pivot point in the story. It's a key moment, and it's key to my understanding myself and God through it as well. All right. When you feel the heat, that's where you look. Okay. So for me, I'll start with the red highlight, and I'm going to say it's right here. This moment. What is happening? The Lord scatters them all over the world. And it's the Lord confused them. All right. He confused the people. And it says, once again, that's how he went about scattering them all over the world. I like to think of the Lord, by the way, all caps here, Lord, that's the creator God's name. It's Yahweh. That's the self-existent one, creator God. And I don't know about you, I like to think of God, the creator God, the Lord. I like to think of him as being, benevolent and gracious and granting my wishes and hopes and requests. And so when I come across this moment, I think, wow, that's pretty intense. Not only is God not, for them, he's actually working against the people at Babel. And as I'm trying to understand what God is like and what it's like to have a relationship with him, a life of faith with him, a friendship with him, I'm thinking, okay, that's the opposite direction of what I want to go. And this needs to be, discussed. I got to spend more time on that. So that's my red highlight. How about this? Let me show you my yellow highlight. All right. So for me, yellow, which is saying, hey, I need to think more about that. I'm curious, and this is making me think. All right. And for me, it's here. At the moment where we get the Babel builders' reasons for their construction project, it's right here. They say, why do they want to build the city and the tower? Right? Well, it's because this will make us famous and keep us from being scattered all over the world. This and here, you got two reasons why they're building the tower and the city. All right. And it's because they want to be famous and they want to keep from being scattered. And I'm just like, okay, that's interesting. And as we've already seen God's reaction to this, it makes me think, well, is there something wrong with being famous, or is this a pride thing? Like, why is God reacting so strongly to the episode that's unfolding at Babel? That's what I want to be thinking about today as I read and reflect, which is what comes next. But then I got to show you, can I show you a green? And you may be thinking, that's a pretty hot and heavy, hot and spicy story from God. How could there be anything positive in here? But I actually found myself thinking, I love this. Can I show you what I love? Take a look at this. It says here that the Lord comes down. It says he came down to look at the city and the tower the people were building. And then look what he says about the people. He says, the people are united and they all speak the same language. Okay, this is the part I love. Nothing they set out to do will be impossible for them. Two things I love here. First of all, people are amazing. Okay, people are amazing. I mean, even God himself, who, by the way, as we saw earlier in Genesis, he created people, and we have incredible capacity. I mean, I'm looking at my desk right here, surrounded by things like, I've got this incredible laptop that's like people mined rocks, melted down the ore, and forged the aluminum into this shape. It's incredible. We turned dirt and rocks into this laptop. I mean, that's one thing. People are incredible, and God knows that. We are capable. And nothing people set their minds to, especially if they're able to band together, whatever they think of being able to do, they can do it. People are amazing. God has always thought that. In fact, he's created us to be amazing. So that's one thing, including, and I'm talking about you, right? You are amazing. And maybe even me too. You're incredible. And God knows that. And so part of this story, I think, has to do with God knowing he's got to direct that in our incredible powers of creativity and strategy and execution. They need to be directed toward good ends that line up with what he's trying to do. And that's part of what's happening here, I think, in this Babel story. And then one other thing on this highlight that I love, I mean, look at this. The Lord came down to look. I love that because to me, this says everything about the kind of God that we have here in our story. The Creator God is not watching us from a distance. All right? He's not, we're not the little blue dot out far in the expanses of the universe, and God's out here just with his feet propped up and casually observing what's going on. No. We have a God, the Creator God, the Lord, comes down and looks. He sees what's going on. He understands people. He is alert. He's alive. He's engaged. He's here. And he's here because he cares. What's happening on our little blue marble hanging out in space is something that is important enough for him to not only take notice, but to take action and help shape our future, my future, your future, the world's future, because it matters to him. And I find that now, don't get me wrong, sometimes his attention brings discomfort, like what's happening here in the Babel story. I mean, that's something. But make no mistake, and let's be comforted. I find comfort in the fact that God sees what's going on. He knows, he cares, and he wants to be involved. He wants to provide direction and even if that means turning our powers, our abilities, our incredible capabilities as people, he wants to turn that towards something that's good and useful and lined up with his heart for the world. So that's where we sit, guys, as we dive in here with day one. So much to think about. So take a look here in your reading guide, all right? Jot down your highlights, and then you can reflect and respond a little bit. Inside today's reading guide, what went wrong at Babel? These are the questions. Why do you think God responds so negatively to this building project? And then you can get a little bit deeper in with a question like this. Can you think of a time when God stopped your plans cold? I can think of one for me right now. And we'll get into more conversation about that when you check out the Insights video that pairs with today's reading. All right? So for now, time to dive in. Take a look for yourself. Read, react, respond, and then we'll circle back at the end of the day.